Go.
Okay, so first, what I want to do is I want to share something that it's in my mind, that it's been in my mind for quite some time. My name is Marcelo Ledesma, and what I have in my mind is that I see myself, experiencing this transformation, experiencing this growth, and all of a sudden I started thinking that everybody else was experiencing the same kind of growth. So at one point I was ready to give up. Who do I give this to? Who do I impact with this transformation, this knowledge, this new philosophy? But then, I started, because the reason why I'm saying that is because in my house, my wife experienced the same transformation. The way we're talking to our kids are also transforming, are growing. The way they interact with other kids, the way we interact in the household, and then I go to, for example, Landmark, or I go to other seminars, and I see all these people enthusiastic, full of energy, that they are drawn to do great things in life, but that actually played in the opposite way that most people would think. Because I'm like, now what do I do? Who do I help? And that was actually diminishing my power, because I had this and I want to give it out, I want to give it away. But then, I started living life, I started going out, and in my job, I don't have a job, it's my business, in life in general, and I see a huge necessity for transformation. I see a huge necessity for transforming, helping, contributing, facilitating other people's transformation. Because, I don't see the news anymore, but there is a negative something going on in the world. People does not have hope, people does not have purpose in life, and they never discover that purpose. And the reason why I'm saying all this, and I'm going to attach it with my story, is because I was one of them. Sí, estamos grabando, pero no importa. Bueno, gracias. I was one of them. No purpose, no desire to do anything in life. I went through depression. I wanted to kill myself. And I thought it was everything from now. Well, for what I was experiencing now. Well, 2 years ago. No job, I was not able to provide for my family. We were fighting with my wife. I was yelling to my kids. So life was going to hell, pretty much. But in my mind, I was like, okay, it's because of this. Life is not going the way I want, so I'm suffering depression. But it's not. It's not. And it wasn't that way. And thinking about it, I actually figured it out. When I was a kid, I suffered many things. And when I say many things, I mean many things. When I was 3, my mom and my dad got divorced. Supposedly, my dad cheated on my mom. So my mom got blinded by hate. So she couldn't handle, keeping 2 kids, because at that point my dad just left, because he couldn't handle my mom anymore. My mom was hitting my dad, she was yelling, she was making my dad's life miserable. He couldn't handle it. They were fighting in front of me. So I was getting all that. I was getting those images in my brain, and then my dad's leaving. My mom is dropping us in my grandparents' household, and she's leaving too. So I'm like, what the heck is wrong with me? Am I weird? Am I not lovable? Not good enough? So my dad is leaving me, my mom is leaving me, and I'm living with my grandparents, and the only way they had to discipline the two little kids was just hitting them. We got hit for everything. You know, if we did something good or if we did something bad, we got hit. They had this, I don't know how to say it in English, but this whip, I think it was.
Cane.
Yeah.
Cane.
Yeah, whatever it is. You know, it was like a belt hooked to a piece to a stick. So every time we did something like, you know, they do to the horses. So every time we did something bad, we got corrected that way. So we were afraid. We lived in fear for many, many years. And then, as we grow up, you know, when we did something wrong, we ran. So my grandmother couldn't catch us, okay? So we were like off the hook. But no, who was there? My uncle. You know, he ran to us, he grabbed us, he brought us to my grandmother, and she hit us. So, you know, I was living in that space of violence, fear, and then I went to school that way. Of course, I didn't make any friends. I was not able to get good grades, you know, because I couldn't get it. I couldn't get anything in my brain. I was always in a trance, you know, because I was always afraid that something wrong was going to happen, that I was going to get hit. I mean, it's not like I live in hell for that long. There were moments of not hitting, you know, because very few, you know, but that's the thing, you know. I grew up knowing that I was not lovable, that I was not good enough, that I was pretty much a piece of shit, you know, and I carry that through my teenager years and through my grown-up years. So, very little friends in school. I was very shy, introverted, you know, always watching TV. That was my world, watching TV and playing video games. So I didn't have to face the world. I didn't have to face reality. You know, I was in that space. So at the age of 12, my mom came back to my life. No, at the age of 6, she came back, you know, and she started playing the mom role, like bringing us toys and, you know, trying to make up for abandoned us. So that, I kind of like that because I got attention, and I never got attention, you know, coming from my grandparents, because they didn't know how to handle us. I mean, and I don't blame them, you know. I don't blame them because they were old, 75 and 76, raising a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. So I couldn't blame him. I don't blame him now. Then I did hate him, you know, because like receiving that violence is not. Seeing it from now, it's like, okay, they did what they did. That's all they knew. Yeah, but when you're there, when you're suffering that, when you're experiencing all that violence, when you're like in fear, you just want to run away. You don't understand what's going on. So at the age of 6, my mom came back to our lives, you know, and we started reconnecting to our mom. 6 years later, we left my grandmother's house and we started living with my mom. Hang on. At that point, when my mom came back, he came back with another man, which I was supposed to call dad. He was my new dad, you know. And I was like, what the heck is going on? I mean, she's showing up after all these years. And now I have this guy, which I love him. To be honest, I learned to love him because he took responsibility for those 2 kids, and he didn't have to. He didn't have to take responsibility for me or my brother. But it was all new. You know, I had this guy, you know, holding my mom's hand, you know, living with my mom. I was in confusion. My entire life, it was confusion, you know. Not having a complete family, not having roles fully fulfilled. Like my mom, my grandmother was my mom, my grandfather was my dad, my uncle was kind of like my dad, my mom was gone, my father was gone. Do you see what I'm saying? Do you see the confusion? And then receiving advice from my friends.
Okay.
Receiving advice from my friends, don't go to school, let's skip it. In my teenage years, I skipped school many times. And at that time, I was living with my mother. I was 13, 14, 15. So, zero interest for life, zero interest for school. I was failing school miserably. I never liked it. I don't like it still. I do not understand why people go to school, but that's my opinion. They can do whatever they want. So, and then I came to United States trying to escape that
reality.
Trying to escape that nightmare. Because although I was 17, 18, no, I was 20 when I came here, but still in fear. No friends. Maybe I knew people, but they were not my real friends, like a real friend. So I came here trying to escape that nightmare and to United States, and I thought everything was going to be great. Like a new beginning, like a new, like a fresh start, right? But no, I brought all that crap with me. I brought everything with me. I was 20, I was naive, I have zero English. I didn't know anybody except for a couple of people, the people that opened the door for me to stay for a little time, because after 3-4 months, I started facing reality again, like, because they were very friendly when I came, when I first came, but then they started showing up their paws, and it's time for you to move on, get your own place. So they helped me out a lot, because they took me to my job for like a month. I was working in a clothing store, making minimum wage, but I was happy because it was my money. I was not paying much in the house. So everything was great until the moment that I had to leave. I actually wanted to leave because they, that's another thing. That's another thing. When I came here to the United States, I was living in that household, but the oldest kid, he was doing drugs. So we had the police come every now and then to check on him, and he used to sell drugs from the house. So I remember vividly one night I was sleeping and they were having a party, and downstairs the parents were not home because they were always working. If they were not working, they were traveling. So they were having this party, and all of a sudden I hear like a stampede, like when cows start to run, like they shake, that like the house is shaking. So I'm waking up, I go down, and I see this scene, like there was nobody, and I see these lights coming through the window. The cops were outside, lighting the house, and one of the sister of that guy, the one that sold drugs in the house, told me, can you go and bring this friend's car, because she cannot go out or whatever. So I was kind of asleep still. I opened the door and I see these lights coming at me, and the cops yelling, turn around and put your hands on your head, or put your hands on the ground, and start walking backwards. And then I see these cops pointing guns on me. But can you imagine that? At 1 minute you're asleep, and then 5 minutes later you have like 20 cops pointing guns on you. So at that point, I was like, I have to leave. I have to leave. So I started
Did it take
leaving.
you to jail?
Huh?
Did it take you to jail?
No, because I didn't know anything. You know, the lady, the sister talked, because I was not speaking English at that time. So she let the cops know that I was not part of the party, that I was just a guest. So they let me off the hook. But I knew something was going on in that house. You know, and that was it wasn't uncommon to have those situations, those things happening. So I started living by myself, right? Everything was great. No, everything was not great. Sorry, things come to my mind which can be impactful for other people, because I thought I was making it, right? Because I was living by myself, I was making a little money, I had a vehicle, but there was this mindset of lack and unbelief. I didn't believe in me.
Believe in yourself.
But how can I? You know, if I carry,
Self-esteem was
of course, if I
It's
carry
not,
that all that crap, all that
history
baggage with me for that many years. So making the wrong decisions, you know, making friends with the wrong people, and just continue that lousy life until I met my wife, you know, and I have no idea how she accepted me, because the way I was, I wouldn't have accepted myself, you know, because I was very arrogant, I was cocky, but it's not because I thought I was better than anyone, it's because I was very scared. You know, that cockiness was driven by fear, because that was the only way I knew to present myself, you know, because it was like a protection field. Zero self-expression, zero, you know, self-knowledge of who I was. So I started dating my wife, and things didn't work out. We fought, you know, we argued a lot. The first year we fought like 7 times. We broke up that many times, and we decided to get married. Go figure. You know, having that kind of life and then decided to get married. The marriage didn't work out. It didn't work out. I mean, we were just
existing.
going through life,
Yeah.
you know, in different directions. Coming together at the apartment, at the end of the day, we just be there, you know, and not zero intimacy, zero communication, no self-expression. So that's when I went through depression the first time. I was 30 years old. I went through depression, and I was very scared at that time, because I remember vividly. I was 30, so it was 2000. I was 30, so it was 2010. And at one night, I literally felt like I was asleep. I was laying down, right? So all of a sudden, I feel like someone pulled me from my chest, right? So
You got up.
I got up. I was sitting, you know, on the bed, and I felt the room moving, like going in circles. My heart pounding. I thought I was dying. Honestly, I thought I was dying, and so I then, you know, my reaction was laying down, cover my full body with the sheets, and the sensation didn't come up, didn't end. It actually gotten worse. So I was able to manage that, but then the next day I didn't know what to do. I didn't tell my wife. She didn't know what was going on. See, that's the kind of communication we had. I was keeping things inside, and that was one way I knew to survive, pretty much. You know, because when I was a kid, I couldn't tell anyone how I felt. I couldn't tell anyone about my emotions, because nobody cared. So I learned that mechanism to just hold it inside. But at one point, my body couldn't take it anymore. So that's why I went through this depression. I went to the psychiatrist, sorry, and I started taking pills for antidepressant, I think they're called. And things gotten worse, because I thought I was gonna have to stick to those pills forever. I didn't. I got the treatment, and I was able to leave it behind. Fix it in my mind. I fixed it, or I don't know what happened. I actually prayed, right, and had God help me, and I thought everything was fine. But at the age of 37, it came back again, that same depression, because of the same situation. And I thought it was about the things that were going on in that moment. Like 2009, 2010, the economy was going down, so business was sinking. I didn't feel man enough because I couldn't support my family. I couldn't put, food on the table. We lost our condo. We had to move. It was just many, many things, but it wasn't that. It's never what's going on in the present. It's what you're carrying on your back, and you're carrying your back is the past. You're carrying your past on the back. So anyway, when I was 37, same thing, but this time was worse because I started watching myself dying, how to die, how to kill myself. I watched myself because I wanted to stop it. I couldn't handle it anymore, and I didn't want to take pills anymore. So I started asking, what can I do? I want to stop. So my mind started giving me options to stop this, but not in a good way. Because I saw myself jumping from the 520 bridge, with the rock, with a heavy rock on, tied to my foot, to my feet, and drowning. And I honestly, to be honest, I saw myself drowning, and I had that sensation in my chest. That was one option. The other option was burning myself. Just, well, there is a name, I don't know it in English, but just, pouring gasoline and lighting myself. So at that moment I lost it. I knew there was something wrong in my mind. I was losing my mind, and that sensation is just horrible because you don't know what to do. You start living all these experiences. You see yourself killing yourself. And I didn't tell my wife. She didn't know. And as funny or sad as it sounds, she didn't know. I had all this in me, but nobody knew. Nobody knew. And then I decided to put it a stop. I can't handle it anymore. I have to do something, but something substantial. Not like before, not like taking pills, not like going to psychiatrist or psychologist. So I started to learn. I started to study what depression is, how to treat it, different options to understand depression, to help other people, to use my imagination, my creativity. That was one of the things that really helped me out, my creativity. Because I was acquiring all this knowledge. I was reading books, I was listening to audios, I was going to seminars, and that was good. I felt good. I felt like, getting better, improving. And that's when I discovered personal growth, self-help or self-discovery, and I fell in love with it because it helped me come out from the bubble, because I was in a bubble. Everything was wrong, everything was crappy, my life was going to hell, all the relationships I had were just, not good, just not good. So I was walking, I was like a zombie. No, honestly, I was a zombie. People were talking to me. I was like not paying attention. I was not present anymore. Even my wife, telling me stuff, important stuff, and I'm not there. Just saying yes, yes, yes. So she didn't bother me anymore, but I was doing things that I was not supposed to do. So it was just a mix of so many things. But then I discovered self growth or self improvement, and I truly discovered my purpose, because I went through all these things, I got all these experiences, and I didn't kill myself. I used that to empower myself, to get knowledge, and to empower other human beings. And that's what I love. That's what I love. I empowering other human beings, help them realize what they have inside, the potential they have inside. It's very still, to be honest, kind of sad when I hear people that don't know what to do with their lives. I don't know what to do with my life. And I'm like, I want to help them. I really want to help them. So they can do whatever they want. They have a purpose in life. All of us, we have a purpose in life. The thing is, we need to discover that purpose. But if you don't have someone to tell you, hey, you can do better, you don't have to settle for that kind of life if you don't want to. It's very hard. I mean, for me, it's kind of impossible. We have these blinders, right? And we go through life like this. Unless we encounter something that, pops the bubble and get us out of the bubble, it's very hard. You see people going through life, having the same job for 30, 40 years. And they think there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not judging. But, being behind a desk for 30 years, going through life, not experimenting life, not building true relationships, not knowing who you are and the impact you can have in other human beings in the world. That's actually a driver. It gives me power to continue doing this and continue impacting other people's lives. Just sharing your story, sharing my story. That's what it's all about. Because I wanted to get it right. I wanted to have the right words. I wanted to have, all the knowledge to actually start. But I was in the get ready zone. Always more knowledge, always more.
Like you felt like
reading more.
everything you were doing wasn't enough. Like,
yes.
When I get to this level, that's when I do it. Then when I need this one more. Then you go get I'm not ready yet. I need this thing too. Then you keep, getting all these tools under your belt. And there's a lot of people who got, 3, 5, 6, college degrees, and they feel like they need the next degree in order to do what they want to do. Then they go get it. Then they was like, I need another this one. Then they go get it. Then they keep getting more degrees. At some point, they're hiding behind all these degrees that they have.
But you know what that is, right?
Yeah.
It's fear.
Exactly. Feeling like we're not good enough.
Yes. And you need more knowledge and more training, or you need more of this, more of that. You have it all. You have it all inside of you. I have it all. I mean, it's good because I love reading books. I love going to seminars. I love listening to audios. But when you stay just there, you don't come out. And if you don't come out, you don't impact other lives. It's like you're selfish. You want it for you.
Exactly.
So I discovered that. It was like a slap in my face. Fear. That necessity to keep acquiring training or more knowledge. It's just fear. And it only took open my mouth. And knowing that I can have fear inside. I can have self-doubt. I can have worry, but still do things anyway. Because I was comparing myself with these, icons in self-developing or self-improvement. But how can I compare myself if they started 30 years ago? I'm just starting. And although, you know, they make mistakes, they have flaws, uh, you know. So that's kind of my story. That's how I got here, the way I am, you know. And I'm very happy for this. I'm very happy for my transformation, for having this passion, this fire to help other human beings, and showing myself like I am, you know, with insecurities, with fears. I make mistakes. I don't have a perfect life, you know. Sometimes I lose it. Sometimes I lose it, you know, with my kids or with other human beings. But then now I can catch myself without having to continue that behavior. I'm like, hey, hang on, that's not good, you know. And I truly love that, and I want that for other human beings too. I mean, I have so many friends. The way they interact with their spouses, they yell to each other. You know, they're in their faces. You know, and the kids are watching, and I'm like, and they don't see it. They don't see it. It doesn't occur to them as something that it's impacting negatively in the kid's life. So that's a little of my story.
Question. You said you didn't, in your speech, you said that you didn't know English when you came here. How did you decide that you wanted to learn, and how did you learn it, and what was the process? What action steps did you take in order to learn English? Because right now, you sound pretty good with English. So clearly you've been doing something that is working. So what exactly did you do?
Well, it has to be honest with you, I'm gonna move a little to the religious side or to God, and some people are with it, some people are not, but that's my story. I really wanted to learn English. I immersed myself in English, you know, radio in English, TV in English, the newspaper in English, friends, you know, people who didn't speak Spanish. But I wasn't getting it as fast as I wanted. So I asked God. I prayed for the knowledge, or for Him to get my tongue loose and actually achieve the new language. So yeah, things started to happen. I started to feel more confident, and you know, now that I think about it, that's about confidence, because I wasn't confident to speak. I knew I could speak English, but I wasn't confident enough to actually speak it.
To stand in public and open your mouth.
Yeah. And that actually is very recent, that I'm confident enough to speak in public in English, you know. So if you want the truth, I prayed, and then I dedicated myself. Lately what I've been doing is reading out loud in English. So that's really helping moving my mouth and my tongue in the new language. So yeah, reading is great. But first you need to learn how to speak it, and then you work on perfect it, if that would ever happen, because then it's not my goal. But yeah.
Good job.
It takes practice. I mean, it is the first time.